John Lynch was in full spin mode when he went on KNBR yesterday, but there is one thing he said that I actually believe. Plus, why I think we may have turned a corner with Brock Purdy, and of course, Levan's hot takes. What is good, everybody? Welcome to another Gold Standard podcast, part of the Pro Football Insiders. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera. He is Levan Black. Levan, how you doing on this bye-week Wednesday?
Well, you just put a great song in my head by saying spin. I now have the You Spin Me Right Round song in my head.
Okay.
Do you like that song?
It's not a bad song. I will say that. I'm just distracted by your shirt. For the audio listeners, Levan is wearing
jacket, actually.
A jacket. It looks like it could be an 80s 49ers jacket because it's red, gold, and white. Is that what it's from?
No, it's actually just a Columbia jacket that was they have like a festive design or something like that, and they come out with a couple a year. And 2 years ago they had this one. I was like, well, that's getting bought because that's Niner colors, and that means I'll wear it a lot, and I do wear it a lot.
It absolutely looks like it could be 49ers here. So good job by you. Lot to get to on today's show. John Lynch on KNBR, Kyle Shanahan on KNBR, Brock Purdy on KNBR. Basically, every 49ers person was like, I'm doing all my paid media obligations right out of the gate because it's the bye week and I want to get the hell out of Dodge.
Can we get a Niners on our show?
Probably not. Just not gonna hold your breath. They generally are not happy with the things that we say. Not that that's going to change it or influence us in any way, because of course we don't care about any of that. We're your best independent source of Niners information. But let's get to it. John Lynch on KNBR. He was talking about the Brandon Aiyuk situation. We'll let you hear that in a second. But there was one thing he said that I actually agree with. And he was asked, can the 49ers contend for a Super Bowl this year?
This year, it's anyone's championship out there. And it's going to come down to who can have some good fortune in terms of being healthy at the right time. But are you getting better each week? And that's one thing I'm really proud of our team. And I think Kyle has done an incredible job leading us. We're finding a way in each phase to get a little bit better each week, regardless of what has happened in terms of injuries and whatnot. We're focused on, can we get a little bit better each week? And when you do that, we've got enough in our locker room, I believe, that we can contend.
I kind of agree with him, Levan. And I think what I was guilty of was looking at who's not there, right? Kind of the same thing like we did before the year started. Who's not here? Hufanga is gone, right? They lost Dre Greenlaw. They lost depth along the defensive line. Looking at all the people that aren't there, instead of looking at what is there, and what is there right now based on how they are playing and based on how the rest of the league is playing, I think I was wrong. I do believe they can contend for a Super Bowl.
I said that 2 weeks ago. I changed my tune. I think the door is cracked. There is an aspect that I'd forgotten about until I read Barrow's mailbag about an hour ago when it posted. I'd forgotten about the Fred Warner possibility. He can come back in the playoffs, yeah.
Well, I know that, but did he say anything? Because
he said he didn't. He hasn't gotten any update. Somebody asked, based on Fred Warner's past mutant healing abilities, because he's healed really quickly, could he be back for the playoffs? And Barrows put it at he gave percentages, just it's not based on anything new, but it was like 8% for the first wild card game. I think it was around a quarter for the divisional, and it was around 44% for the NFC Championship game. But then the Super Bowl, he put just try to stop him from being on the field.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially with the extra week off.
I think if they make the NFC Championship game, I would target that. And if he is a true fast healer, I wouldn't be surprised if division weekend he comes back and it's kind of one of those where he's going to play 20 snaps or so just to get his feet wet before a potential championship.
A couple of things to keep in mind. Number one, if the 49ers make the playoffs, Kyle Shanahan has never failed to advance to the NFC Championship game if he has gotten to the playoffs with the 49ers. So just keep that in mind, and keep in mind they have 9 wins right now, and their next game is against Tennessee. So right now, I think one of the sites, I can't remember who, said that the Niners playoff odds are at 94%. So
yeah, The Athletic has a computer model that they update it every week, and it's 94%. But I think it's higher because they need 10 wins. Everybody else needs 11 wins. But because of the Niners' record in the NFC, 10 wins gets them in because they'll beat the tiebreaker, unless every single other team wins 11.
Which
I
is
don't
not
see that
going to happen.
happening. Right. That means you got to have, for that to happen, you got to have the Lions win out. You know what I mean?
And they might not even win this week.
Right. I mean, and they have this week, and then next week they have the Rams. Like,
Yeah,
they have a crazy tough schedule. I don't think they're making the playoffs. If they're not in it, then the Cowboys have to win out. If the Cowboys win out, they get to 11-5-1. I guess technically they could lose one and be the what would it be 10-6-1?
that's
And
stupid
get it
tie.
because of the tie. Yeah. But the Cowboys are winning 4 out of 5. They're already won more games than they should have in a row.
Yeah, we'll see. But I agree with what you said. I think it's unlikely that the Lions, I mean, for sure, they got some troubles of their own. At CJK04 says, as a Seahawks fan, I respect what the Niners have done despite the injuries. I respect that you're in this chat right now, CJ, so thank you. He says, but I don't think they have the trenches to win the Super Bowl. Between the lack of a pass rush and a run defense, this offensive line is meh at best. All that is 100% true, CJ. I respect everything you've said there. But, it's funny, Levan. I made a video like 5 months ago, and the title of the video was Why the 49ers Can Win the Super Bowl in 2025. And I had forgotten about it. But I was reading the YouTube comments today, and yes, I do read the comments. I know that's a mistake sometimes, but I read them. If you leave them, I read them. And somebody commented on it, so it brought it to my attention again. And I was like, damn, let me watch this video again. And the purpose of the video, if you didn't watch it, and judging by the numbers, you didn't, was that tons of teams have won the Super Bowl with flaws. We tend to think of Super Bowl champions as like, oh, these perfect, pristine teams that had no flaws. They were all powerhouses. They were all among the teams that we thought could win the Super Bowl going into the year. That is not the case. That is not the case at all. Case in point, Tom Brady's first Super Bowl team, they beat 2 teams with a winning record all year. And they won the Super Bowl. Like, if you go back and look through NFL history, teams with major flaws have gone on to win a championship because either the flaws don't come out, the game script puts them in a position where they don't have to depend on those things. Somebody else just makes a stupid decision, like Matt LaFleur deciding to kick a field goal instead of going for it from like the 2-yard line against Brady's Patriots in 2020. All sorts of things. So as I have continued to say, and I know this is long and I apologize, just get in the damn playoffs and we'll take it from there.
I mean, so he's not wrong about the lack of pass rush and the run defense being a problem. That's absolutely the case. When they get in the playoffs, I'm not expecting them to hold teams to, a low point total. There's one recipe that the Niners make the Super Bowl. They outscore people. That's the recipe. The offense is capable of doing that, but it's kind of, and maybe this example is just ingrained in my head because the Niners played them in the Super Bowl that year. But the recipe is that Baltimore Ravens Super Bowl run where Joe Flacco just caught fire and he was just going off every game. That's the recipe. If Brock Purdy can peak in the playoffs and they can have Kyle Shanahan calling those plays where it's just like he's calling the right thing at the right time, then they can get there. It's not a high percentage chance. The percentage chance of making the Super Bowl is much higher for both the Seahawks and the Rams, if we're being honest. But there is a chance.
Let me say this, because I think that most people would agree with what you just said. And again, this is something I was looking at today. There is no question that the 49ers schedule has contributed to their success this year. I'm not going to deny it. The reality is the reality. It's been one of the easier schedules, if not the easiest schedule. So is the Seahawks. Give me the Seahawks' best win. I want to know what it is. They lost to the 49ers in week 1. They lost to the Buccaneers. They lost to the Rams. Those are their 3 losses. Here are the Seahawks wins. Pittsburgh, the Saints, the Cardinals, the Jags, the Texans, the Commanders, the Cardinals, the Titans, and the Vikings with Max Bosmer, whatever the hell his name is. So the best win for Seattle, I think you would say, is either Jacksonville or Houston.
Yeah.
Is that like they beat the best team? Is that such a great win? No, the Seahawks schedule is basically what the 49ers schedule has been this year. So if you want to ding the Niners, okay, great. You have to ding the Seahawks too.
I mean, the Niners' best wins are the Rams,
Right.
the Seahawks. So, the schedules are similar, and they actually have pretty similar finishing schedules. The Seahawks do have the Rams left, which the Niners don't. But if I'm not mistaken, the Seahawks still have to play the Colts and stuff like that. So they have pretty similar schedule. The Niners, it's going to come down to the last 3 games. But really, before you get there, it may not matter. Like, this is the scenario the Niners are looking at. If they take care of business against Tennessee in a week and a half, they'll have 10 wins. And then they face the last games that are tough. But if the Rams are capable of beating the Lions in 2 weeks, assuming they take care of business this week against the Cardinals, which is far from a guarantee, but likely. But if they beat the Lions, that Seahawks-Rams game, that decides the division, let's be honest. Unless the Rams lose it, and then it becomes the Niners can win the division by beating the Seahawks. If the Rams beat the Seahawks, the scenario is it's better for the 49ers to be the 3rd team than the 2nd team because of next season's schedule. Not this season.
Oh, okay.
Next season's schedule is easier because you get the 3rd place schedule. So I think the reality is the Niners are going to be a wild card team. And whoever wins that Rams-Seahawks game is going to be the division winner. So who is better isn't going to matter. There's a pretty good chance they're going to face each other in the playoffs. Whoever wins the division and the 49ers are probably going to face each other in the playoffs.
Yeah, I would think that that's probably likely. CJ says the Seahawks have an elite defense. The Niners aren't elite at anything. But that's my point. How do we know the Seahawks have an elite defense? If you're going to say that, the schedule is what it is, right? Then, what are we doing here? I don't know that it's elite. Maybe they just played a bunch of tomato cans. The 49ers defense, I think, is what are they? 8th in the league right now? Nobody would say the 49ers have an elite defense, but yet they are where they are. I'm just saying I think it's crazy that people look at the Seahawks as automatically one of the best teams in the NFC, and people want to ding the 49ers for the schedule when the schedule is basically the same. And oh, by the way, the 49ers have a quarterback who plays better in the playoffs. The Seahawks have a quarterback that sucks the bigger the games get. Let's just be honest. That's just the reality of the situation.
I was going to bring that up next and say we haven't addressed the elephant in the room. The Seahawks doing anything in the playoffs relies on Darnold not shitting the bed and costing them a win.
Yes.
Are you confident he can do that 3 times in a row to win a Super Bowl? 4 times in a row if they're a wild card or don't get the number 1 seed? No, I'm not. The chances of Darnold having a streak like that aren't good, which is entirely why I wouldn't want him as my quarterback. If you have a quarterback that is streaky and is prone to just having a horrendous game where they throw a bunch of interceptions, that quarterback can't win a Super Bowl, because to win a Super Bowl, you got to have a minimum of 3 games in a row of good play, and usually 4, with there only being a one team getting the bye now. So Darnold, I think there'll be a different tune this offseason because he's probably going to cost them a playoff game. And the Seahawks fans are going to be like, well, hold on here. We can't win a Super Bowl with that guy.
It's going to be interesting if he has another bad playoff game, what the narrative is on Sam Darnold. Now, a lot of his struggles come when you get pressure on him. And the 49ers are not going to get pressure on him because they can't get pressure on anybody. So I will say that in Darnold's defense, he is at his worst when he's under pressure. But in the playoffs, you're going to play better defenses, and you would think that would be something that would happen more often. Speaking of quarterback play, I'm changing the order of everything here, but I feel like it just flows better. So that's what I'm going to go with. Do you remember what I said in the instant reaction show? I said that maybe the light bulb went on for Brock Purdy, right? That he threw the ball away 7 times in the game, and maybe he finally realized, hey, I can still do that, and we can still score a whole bunch of points. I was hoping that maybe he would have sort of seen the light, because we know he doesn't like to throw the ball away. He had 7 throwaways on Sunday. He had 7 the whole season before that. Well, he was a guest on KNBR, and they asked him, like, hey, did you go into the Browns game with a real focus on not turning the ball over? I got 2 clips. Here's the first one.
This year, it's anyone.
Oh, sorry, I hit the wrong button. Let's try that again.
For me, going into Cleveland, it was, all right, how can I protect the ball? How can I protect our team? And, especially with the conditions that we're playing in and how good their defense was, it was on my mind to, be smart and, just find a way to win, stay aggressive, but also when it's not there, let's just live to see another down. And so that's sort of just how I looked at it. I was proud that, our whole team was able to play smart, be on top of their stuff, and take what the defense gives us, and we just score when we had the opportunity to do so. So definitely learn, as we went this last week, but hopefully I can continue to do that and have that be my mindset for sure.
Okay, Levan, tell me that's not good news.
I'll believe it when I see it. Sorry. He said this in the offseason and he didn't do it. So is this the one game where he goes, see, I did it. Now back to normal.
Well, here's the difference, though. He has proof of concept now, right? Like before, it was just coaches saying, hey, Brock, you got to protect the ball. You'll still be able to score if you still do this. But he never saw it actually take place on the field. Now he has. I knew you were going to poo-poo that, by the way. But I have another clip for you. Hopefully this will convince you. He was then asked, great follow-up question, did you have that mindset, or will you only have that mindset because you were in windy conditions, facing the Browns, facing Myles Garrett? Or is this a mindset that you want to have going forward? Here's more Brock Purdy.
Honestly, I thought it was just a great mindset in general playing quarterback. So I really, learned a lot last Sunday, and obviously we had success with it. And so just moving forward, I can learn from that. But at the same time, I think, games are different, with, how you got to be aggressive and take opportunities to, go make a play or whatever, but not trying to go out of your way to make plays. It's being smart at the right time and everything. So I don't know. I learned a really good lesson, and we'll continue to strive towards that as the season goes.
Here's the mentality Brock needs to play games with. Play games like Toyota makes cars. Safe, reliable. You like that?
That's not bad. He did have the Toyota-thon jacket. But no, I'm hopeful that he is now seen like, damn, even if it's only a couple of times a game in his head where that instinct to let it rip is tempered now, where he's like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to throw the ball away. I'm going to live to play another down, exactly like he said. Even 1 or 2 plays a game might be the difference.
Yeah, I mean, the offense is playing great. The thing that they need to do is limit the negative, and especially with the defense the way it is. I think the defense, the way it is now, is it's not a great talented defense because they're missing their 2 big stars. That means you can't set them up for failure, because if you set them up for failure, they're not going to overcome it.
They will fail.
Right. So you got to put them in good advantageous positions, score points, get the lead, don't turn the ball over where it's a short field. If you do that, they can hold up and do enough. And that's what you're looking for from the defense. Play good special teams to affect field position, and play offense that isn't turning the ball over, so that the defense, when they take the field, it's all right. We just can't allow 70 yards. We need to have 3 plays in a row at some point before they get 70 yards, and we will at least limit them to a field goal. And I think the mentality should be, if we're limiting the other team to a field goal, we got a good chance of winning, because our offense is going to probably average better than a field goal per drive.
And I think another aspect of this, too, that's important is the 49ers have to play with a lead. I think that has really helped them.
If they get down big, it's toasted. Like they have zero chance because the defense cannot play under that scenario.
Josh Dubow had a great tweet. The 49ers have run 5 offensive plays in the last 3 weeks when trailing. And all 5 of those plays came on the final drive of the first half against the Browns, where they drove down the field and kicked a field goal to then retake the lead. So that is part of the reason why the offense has looked better and the defenses look better. It's because they have been able to tilt the game script in their favor, and they aren't trailing. And I mean, it sounds obvious, right? Like, yeah, you can't trail, of course, but I think it's more important for this 49ers team than ever.
Yeah, this team has not very many scripts for winning games, but they do have some scripts that if they get that script, they are going to win that game because it's not a case of, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a case of a team playing above its mean. You know, it's not a team that's won a bunch of games they shouldn't won. It's them winning games because they came out the right way and set the tone to be able to run the script that they can win with. If they come out and allow the other team to set the tone to where they're trailing, that's not a case that they can come back. And I think Kyle knows it because he just took the ball first. And that's not something he usually does. And he mentioned that he wanted to have the wind in the fourth quarter and get off on the right foot. Like, I do think that this team, the first quarter matters as much as the last quarter.
He's saying that it was just about the weather. He doesn't have to admit it. I think he knows. I agree with you. I think he knows deep down we want to have the ball, especially because sometimes we've seen with this defense, the first drive, the other team goes right down the field and scores. And it's so much better, obviously, again, if when that happens, you're tied or you're only down, 4 points instead of being down 7 points. And I think Kyle also has a lot of confidence in his opening game script and all of that stuff as well, too. So it's clearly, I think, a thing that they are going to need to do. They have done it, and let's hope they continue to do it. Again, no game this week, obviously, but Tennessee, same thing, especially at this point in the year. We know who the good teams are, and more importantly, we know who the bad teams are this time of year. With the bad teams, especially one as bad as Tennessee, you get up, they're going to throw in the towel. You're going to take the heart right out of them, and you'll be able to handle them the rest of the way. But the longer it's close, the longer you give them hope, then it completely flips. So, we got 2 weeks before we get to that game. We're not going to worry about it now, but get up early, and the quicker you can get up by 2 scores, the better.
Yeah, this team with a lead, I like their chances. This team with not a lead, I don't like their chances. There's a lot of teams out there that I think have more game scripts that they can play with and win. I think amongst teams in current playoff position, the Niners might be dead last in terms of ability to come back to win. Like, I don't like their chances of coming back from 10+ down because I think that defense, if a team can get a game script where they're able to run, that defense is going to wear down because they don't have the depth because of all the injuries. I don't like their chances in those games, and I've been actually kind of surprised the last couple of weeks that teams haven't come out and said, we're going to keep running and we're going to run and wear that defense down. And then in the second half, we'll start trying to pass a little bit more because that defense is going to be worn down. I've been kind of surprised with how other teams have approached trying to beat the Niners. Instead of it's a double advantage. You run, what do? You limit the opportunities the other team's offense has on the field too, so you get a double benefit. I've been surprised by that, and it worries me a little bit that some team is going to come out and say, we're going to run. We don't care if they scored first and we're down 3-0 or 7-0. We're going to keep running all first half. We don't care if we're down. And then the second half, we'll see what happens. And somebody's going to try it. It's going to work. And it's going to be the death knell of this team where they finished the season terribly because teams figured out how to beat them when they don't have the stars on defense.
Well, and unfortunately, I think you're going to see that twice before the end of the year because I think that's what the Colts are going to do, especially Daniel Jones is playing with a friggin' broken leg. And I think that's what the Bears are going to do because the Bears can't complete passes. Caleb Williams has the lowest completion percentage in the NFL, and he is throwing to open wide receivers all the time. And they're not drops that are causing these incompletions. So I think both of those teams are going to come out and implement that game plan, like you said. The one sneaky thing that I think could help the 49ers come back if they're down that they haven't had in recent years is the special teams. Sky Moore can flip the field. He is killing it right now on special teams. And I'm not talking with touchdown returns, obviously, because he doesn't have one of those. But, a 20, 30, 40-yard return. Last week, he had a 66-yard return. When you're down 10, you get a big return. It is a jump start for you. It makes it so much easier. It can take a team that necessarily would struggle in that situation and give them a huge boost that they wouldn't normally be able to accomplish.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of momentum, and I know there's people out there that don't believe it, but momentum is a very real thing. And when you ask athletes about it, they all say, yeah, I can't explain how because we are professionals, but it does have an effect. A big return has the effect of a turnover in terms of momentum. You look at what a team is like after a turnover. They're amped, they're pumped, they're all jumping around, going crazy on the sideline, lots of energy. That's the same thing after a big return, even when it doesn't score the touchdown, as the Niners have seen twice in recent weeks, where they were able to return it deep into the other team's side of the field, but not actually score the touchdown. It is like a turnover. It's a massive momentum swing, even if it doesn't result in a touchdown.
And Benali points out, too, that the Browns tried that run strategy against the 49ers in that one touchdown drive that they had. They were running the ball right down the field, and then Fannin scored the touchdown on the long pass. That was Cleveland just saying, number one, we're not going to let our quarterback throw because we don't trust him. But number two, you can't stop it. And then the 49ers couldn't stop it, in part because of their bad tackling, which I hope could be improved with a week off. I think this defense is tired. I think everybody's tired. So hopefully that improves with a week off after the bye week, because they got to get that straightened out right quick and in a hurry. It's one thing to not have the talent. It's another thing to just stop throwing shoulders into people. Use your arms to tackle. Like it sounds so simple, but damn. I mean, I've seen D Winners do it a lot. I've seen some of the safeties do it too. Use your arms. Why would you not use your arms?
Yeah, Stout had, I think, 4 missed tackles this week. I don't understand how that ever became a thing, because even in like Pee Wee football, which, hey, I actually played Pee Wee football. What is the refrain they always tell players? Wrap up, wrap up. You know, that's what they're always told. And then at some point, I don't know if it's high school or college, I feel like I see it so much more in the pros than I do in college and high school. They just start launching and they try to like torpedo their way to a tackle, meaning they try to get such a big hit and knocks the player down. And it's like,
because it looks cool.
It's the NFL. These guys are the best of the best in terms of getting hit and keeping going. It doesn't work.
Well, not only that, Upton Stout, you're 5'6" or 5'8", whatever it is. Like, who are you throwing shoulders into, dude? You're shorter than me. Okay, now obviously it's much stronger and faster and all that stuff. But damn, man, again, use your arms. Cam's dad one says if we win out and Seattle beats the Rams, we win the division. One step at a time. I'm not disagreeing with you, Cam's dad, but I'm just saying one step at a time, beat Tennessee, and we take it from there. I like that we get to just sit back and watch this week. I like, as you correctly pointed out, Levan, that no matter what happens between Packers and Bears, the 49ers are moving up in the playoff standings. That makes me smile. There is a 0% chance any 49ers is going to get hurt on the football field this week. So
No, they have practice still.
Do they? This week?
They have it at, I think they do like a couple walkthroughs, but that may have already happened this week. So I think they do have like Tuesday, Wednesday, and then they get off until Monday. Something like that.
I have some more 49ers takes that I want to run past you, Levan. But before we do, let's give a word from Sleeper. As you can see, the Sleeper app is up on the screen right now. We love it. It is one of the easiest apps to use. I was blown away by it. I had never used it before this year, but it is absolutely fantastic. You can see, you just go right over to NFL. They have all the games at the top of the screen. You can pick whatever you want, or they have some picks right on the main screen there. You can choose a bunch from different games, and it's real simple. All you do is choose higher or lower on a bunch of different stats, and if you get your picks right, you could win up to 1,000 times your money. Who doesn't like winning up to 1,000 times your money? If you sign up, you don't even have to deposit, but if you sign up, you'll get a free $20 entry. Have some fun. And if you want to deposit money, use our code. It's on the screen, GSP. You'll get a 100% match up to $100. And this is the week, Levan, where like, no, Niners aren't playing. Yeah, there's things I want to watch. But sometimes, you throw down some shekels to make things a little more interesting. And it's nice to do it on a bye week because you're just like, I'll throw it out. I'm not emotionally tied to any of this. So I'm trying to go through and look what do I want to pick from all these games? And I think I'll take Joe Burrow. More than 1.5 passing touchdowns. I was impressed with Burrow coming back from the turf toe, seemingly a more severe turf toe injury than Brock Purdy because he had the actual surgery, which Brock Purdy didn't do. So I'll take Joe Burrow to throw more than 1.5 touchdown passes. I feel pretty good about that one.
Did I see Derrick Henry for only 0.5 touchdowns on that previous screen? I would take that. They played Pittsburgh. They're going to try to run one in right there.
Yeah, anytime touchdown.
I would take that because it's Pittsburgh. It's going to be a trench battle.
That game is going to be a war, man. I can't wait. Ravens Steelers. This is like the old days, man. I remember it was Jerome Bettis and when Rod Woodson was on the Raven. Yes, man. Oh, and the Steelers. Actually, Rod played for both teams. But anyway, again, we love Sleeper. You should use Sleeper. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. All right. As I was doing my thinking, as I always do in the shower, because for some reason I do my best thinking in the shower, I was just thinking about this team. It's the bye week. It's, time to pause and reflect and self-scout. And as I was thinking about this team, Levan, a strange thought popped into my head. All of a sudden, the secondary is the level of the defense that I am least concerned about, which I never would have thought going into the season. But do you agree with that?
Can I agree and disagree?
No, stop straddling the fence.
I feel like all of the position groups or levels of the defense are in the same boat. I neither trust them nor do I expect them to completely fall apart at the same time. Like they're all just kind of like meh. The defensive line, like they can come up with a play. They're probably the one I'm least confident in. So now it's between the linebackers and the secondary. I would guess now with, Nick Martin had a concussion and Gifford has been banged up and horrendous in coverage. But yeah, I guess I do go to the secondary, and I think the difference is that Mustafa has hit his stride and Brown has hit his stride. The safeties are suddenly not a holy crap, they suck.
I agree with both of the analysis on Brown and Mustafa. Now, I think it's also true that they haven't really been challenged deep, and their issue is coverage deeper down the field. Mustafa had that one play where it looked like he got beat, but Shedeur Sanders threw up a wounded duck into the wind. And
he didn't throw a wounded duck. He threw a ball that the wind destroyed.
I am surprised at how, we have seen Shedeur Sanders so differently. I was not impressed by him in any fashion. I think he threw up a crappy throw that looked worse because of the wind. I was not impressed with anything Shedeur Sanders did at all. You generally have had a much warmer reaction to him than I would have thought.
I think there's potential there. I don't think he looked great, but I think in that weather condition, you can't look great. The best you were going to look was Brock Purdy, and it's a good, not great game. I think you have not tried to throw a football or an athletic ball into crazy wind, because throwing into 50-mile-an-hour wind, it doesn't matter how good your arm is, it gets destroyed. It will change the spin of the ball and make it look like a wounded duck. So I think it's impossible to evaluate that throw.
Really? Let me ask you this. Who has a stronger arm, Shedeur Sanders or Brock Purdy?
Oh, Sanders for sure.
Any of Brock Purdy's throws look like wounded ducks? No.
Did he try to throw a 50-yard bomb? That was a 50-yard pass through the air. It wasn't going to work.
Brock's passes looked even better than they did the week before in regular conditions. Anyway, I don't want to get bogged down on Shedeur Sanders, but I was not impressed. But I was impressed by the safety play. I am impressed by the play of the secondary in general. Do they have their flaws? Yes. But as I said, they are the part of the defense I'm least worried about. The defensive line can't get pressure on anybody. Every linebacker is hurt. We're seriously looking at Eric Kendricks, who hasn't played a snap yet this season, to come back and contribute because of all the injuries that they have had. Suddenly, the secondary is the comfortable spot on the defense. What is this comment? John Shoup says, Rob in the shower. Levan's right. Blocking is the same. Stop it. We have to stop this right away. We have to stop this garbage. I am the one that said that blocking is the second best thing that George Kittle.
What happened on the Vish show? Because somebody earlier said, I loved that Vish quoted Levan for that.
Yeah. Vish brought it up because we were talking about Kittle, and he was poking the bear and wanted to break my stones. And he was like, yeah, doesn't Levan always say that? And then the commenters picked up on it, and they are running with this thing. And I am going to lose credit for this, damn it.
Well, I will plead the fifth on who said it first.
Waltony 101 says, I really hope Rob isn't thinking about Levan in the shower. Chris says, Renardo Green needs to get his head out of his ass. He has gotten beat a couple of times this year, but like that's also the nature of the position. Unless you're like one of one, like Deion Sanders, like guy, you're going to get beat a couple of times.
Ask Richard Sherman how hard the position is.
Well, sure, he's well aware. But like, I agree. There have been times when Green hasn't looked great, but again, that position you can't look at a small. You got to take the biggest sample size possible, and I think on the whole they've been pretty good.
Yeah, on the whole, I think the top two cornerbacks have been pretty good. I wouldn't say great. I don't necessarily know that either one is deserving of like all pro for certain. I think Lenore may be a Pro Bowl. He's kind of had a Pro Bowl level, but it's in the shutdown fashion, which it's one of those things that like I've internally debated so many times. Do I prefer a corner that might give up an extra play or two, but gets 7-8 interceptions on a season? Or do I prefer the guy that allows less actual receptions, but never gets an interception? I don't know.
I'm fine. You can have one of those risky players in your secondary, right? If you have one guy that's like, screw it, I'm going for the pick all the time and I'm going to get burned some of the time too. You can survive that. And I do agree. I think there's value to having that on your team, but you can't have more than one of those guys. And you definitely can't have one if your other corner is not the other guy you're describing, the doesn't give up big plays, always locks it down guy.
Yeah. I mean, I think the nature of this defense, they want the corners to not give up plays. Like,
yes,
this is not a risk-taking defense. They don't blitz a lot. Even now, with all the guys down, they're still towards the bottom of the league in terms of blitz percentage. And they don't take a lot of risks. You see it, too, with the safeties. You don't see the safeties come flying in for interceptions very often. It's a defense about taking away the other offense, not we're going to force them into mistakes type of defense, if you get what I mean. Like, the safeties are get back, get deep, make sure that they can't have that deep pass, and then once they throw it, react. It's not, oh, read this, and before he throws it, you're coming flying down and abandoning the deep before he's even thrown it, opening up to the chance that you may have missed somebody coming across the field and now it's wide open behind you. That type of thing. Like, they don't take those risks very often at all.
And Johnny Dale correctly points out that we're a very quarters-heavy defense. I think that's worth stating as well. Johnny certainly knows the scheme better than me and better than many people, fans included.
Better than me. I'll say it.
Good, because I was about to. Nick Wagner says, the Niners blitzed just once on Sunday with 2 minutes and 15 seconds left and got a sack. It's the fewest blitzes they've had in a game since week 2 of 2014 against the Bears. And like you said, Niners aren't a team that blitzes a lot in general. And in the game on Sunday, they blitzed even less. And they still got pressure on 35% of Shedeur Sanders dropbacks.
Yeah, the second half of that I attribute to Sanders and the secondary. People weren't open, so Sanders held the ball. And I think they talked about it in the mailbag on Barrow's article. He held it for like 3.52 seconds was his average. He was holding the ball a lot because the Cleveland offense is crap. It's crap, I think, in all aspects. It is not well designed. I think Stefanski has lost it. And I don't think that their receivers are good. And I don't think they're fully bought in.
Their receivers are terrible. Did you see the clip of Shedeur and I think it was Jerry Jeudy fighting on the sidelines?
Yeah.
Jerry Jeudy was giving it to
Judy's
Shedeur.
at this point. Like, I was a Jeudy fan. I wanted the Niners to get him in that draft that they ended up taking Aiyuk. I think that was the same draft. I'm going off memory, and now I'm old, so It's not as trustworthy. But I was a fan, and I thought when he got traded to Cleveland, it was a great trade for Cleveland. But at this point, Judy has shown enough that he's just he's not 100% bought in. He makes business decisions left and right, and on plays where he thinks he's not getting the ball, he half-asses it and doesn't run.
So first of all, congratulations. You're correct. Judy was 15th overall pick in 2020. Brandon Aiyuk was 25th, 10 picks later. So there you go.
Do you know who I mock draft back when I wrote for the Web Zone back then? I did a mock draft. Guess who I mock draft to the 49ers? Different wide receiver in that same draft.
It wasn't Jerry Jeudy?
No.
Who was it?
Justin Jefferson. Yeah.
Well, don't worry. We're going to get him when we trade Brandon Aiyuk and Mac Jones in a second to Minnesota.
Oh, yeah. Minnesota's going to get rid of their only thing of interest.
Well, remember, the Niners tried to trade for Jefferson, 2024, I think it was, before they gave him his big extension. Yeah. Schefter reported that the Niners called him up then. I'm just saying, Kevin O'Connell, we got a perfectly good quarterback sitting here for you. You don't have to struggle through the J.J. McCarthy wilderness. And Justin Jefferson is looking mighty frustrated in Minnesota. Just, you could have Brandon Aiyuk. He's slightly used. His knee may look like lasagna right now. I don't know what it looks like inside there. Who knows? But you can have him. You can have a second-round pick. You can have Mac Jones. And you'll be all set. You'll be right as rain.
You know how I know you're Italian?
How's that?
Compare a broken knee to lasagna.
Well, I mean, look, everything in there was just exploded. The more we hear about the severity of this injury, the more it's like amazing that he's even up and walking around. McFly liked it. Lasagna knee. He's got lasagna knee. The LCL, the ACL.
I'm going to start calling you Garfield because you're obsessed with lasagna.
I'm not obsessed. I do enjoy a good lasagna. Oh, Johnny Dell says the knee is more baked ziti. Now we're going to get into a weird area that I think. Okay. How about this? Another one of my takes that I came up with in the shower. The defensive player that benefits most from a bye week is Alfred Collins. And in fact, I would say he's probably the player that benefits most from a bye week other than Christian McCaffrey.
I mean, I can certainly see the argument. I think others are in there. Gifford has been banged up. Can he get fully healthy with that week off? Nick Martin just had a concussion. That one is limited because he probably won't get very many snaps on defense.
Right.
Not necessarily his fault, but I mean, Collins is certainly right there in the argument for benefits the most.
I think that we're right around the area of the year where guys hit the rookie wall. Most of the 49ers, I mean, poor Michael Williams is injured. Nick Martin hasn't played. Jordan James hasn't played. Jordan Watkins hasn't played. Alfred Collins is in there, and he busts his ass when he's in there. George Kittle continually calls out his effort and how much he's doing there. I think Alfred Collins, and he's been playing, I think he's probably been playing through some stuff too, like everybody has. I think other than CMC, Alfred Collins is probably like, oh, thank God. Because, he looked up, he's like, wait, we got 4 more games to go plus playoffs. And I'm sure everyone is looking at him like, dude, it's December now. The games are going to ratchet up. Like, it's going to get tougher than even this. So buckle up.
Yeah, I mean, the rookie wall is a real thing. I think rookie wall for a defensive lineman that's probably been forced to play more snaps than he would have due to injuries. And I know he missed some time himself, but when he's playing in games, he's playing more snaps than what they would have done if it was a healthy defensive line. Yeah, I mean, the rookie wall is a real thing that many, 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 many players have talked about in the past at all different positions. Because, like you said, when they are normally finishing their college season, that's when things get real in the NFL. That's when guys like Kyle Shanahan have all the info and tape they need to now suddenly be calling things to directly thwart what you're trying to do on defense. And it's the same. There's defensive coordinators that do the same to an offense that they have enough tape now. They're going to disguise a blitz in a way that you didn't see, and they're coming right through the hole that you're opening up where you didn't expect somebody to be coming through. So, like, the rookie wall, it's not just you're playing more. It's that you're playing more and you're hitting the part of the season where all of these guys that are the best at what they do in play calling are able to hit their stride too.
I see what you're doing there, Levan. Don't think that you can slip one past me. I see what you're doing. When you're talking about Kyle Shanahan has enough tape, you are setting yourself up for a pat on the back. So I will just give it to you. I won't make you have to work any harder for it. And the reason you get a pat on the back is because of what you said last week. And for anyone that doesn't know, we do a little feature here called Levan's Hot Takes.
Levan's Hot Takes.
One of your hot takes last week was about the Browns game, and you said,
I think Kyle Shanahan exercises his Jim Schwartz demons, and the Niners score 24 plus. I think the combination of this offense clicking, Kyle having more time to know exactly what Cleveland's doing, he's going to be able to find the way to get some big plays.
Now, they didn't really break off a ton of chunk big plays, but they did enough, and Kyle did exercise the demons. So I have to give you credit on that one.
One, I'd actually forgotten about it, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Two, that's definitely the worst part of the show there. I hate hearing my own voice. I know it's...
You know how I feel.
It's ever... If you don't know, when you talk for a living, you hate the sound of your own voice. Because you're talking, and the way it sounds now to myself is not the way it sounds on that tape. And so it drives you nuts because your job is how you sound because you're paid for talking. And when you hear it played back, you realize like, okay, that's how I sound to everybody else, but that's not how I've sounded to myself. And it doesn't match up and it drives you nuts because talking is your identity. It's what you do.
I can say with tons of experience that I hate the sound of your voice also. So... you're not alone in that. A lot of people in the chat want a shower thoughts intro. Terror Dome says we need a shower thoughts intro sponsored by Old Spice. Let me just say this. I would be happy to take Old Spice's money if they want to hop on board. I would be down. People are submitting ideas for what the shower thoughts open should be.
I'll just say this. If I had shower thoughts that I shared on the show, they would also be hot takes and probably not appropriate for the show.
Dell says, it's true. I hate the sound of my own voice. Well, this is your opportunity. Do some speaking. I know you've got hot takes. What do we got for this week?
I'm not going to lie. These may not be hot takes. It was a struggle. It's the bye week. There are takes that some people may disagree with. I'm hoping you disagree with one of these so it can come off it as more of a hot take.
Levan's tepid.
Yes.
Takes.
Bye week is hard. I was caught off guard by I was like, okay, what do I do for a bye week? But
all right,
I got the 49ers are peaking right now. Not earlier in the season when they beat the Rams, they beat the Seahawks. I know they've played lesser opponents, but they're peaking right now. The offense has scored 147 points in the last 5 weeks. That's almost 30 points per game. And they have a plus 42 point differential in the last 5 games. Do you know, or do you want to take a guess at what the second best 5-game point differential is for the 49ers this season?
Oh, I have no idea. No, I don't even have a guess.
It is plus 13. So they're plus 42 in the last 5 games. It's plus 13 in the second best 5 game. They are peaking right now, which will tie into my second one.
I think you could make that argument. You could also say that, look, this was what do we all call it, right? After the Rams game, we said this is the point of the schedule, the soft underbelly, right?
Yeah.
Cardinals, Panthers, Browns. Now, maybe we feel differently because the Panthers ended up beating the Rams, but are they peaking? I guess you could say that, especially with some of the health that they've had, some of their offensive, Kittle being back and Pearsall being back and Brock being back, of course. I will say that I agree with you. I do think that is a super mild take. I'm not even giving you 2 pepper. I'll give you nothing. That is tepid. My question in response to you would be, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? Is it too soon?
I don't know that's necessarily too soon. It was definitely the part of the schedule that you wanted them to be playing well because you called it the soft underbelly. I think I referred to it earlier in the year as the take care of business part of the schedule. It's games you need to win. You are going to be favored. You need to take care of business in those games and beat the teams that you're expected because there's too many good teams in the NFC this year. And if you don't take care of business, it's going to be too hard to make up at the final part of the schedule. They took care of business. So, like, I think they peaked during the part of the schedule that they needed to peak in.
All right. What is your tepid take number 2?
The bye weeks suck.
That's it.
I hate bye weeks. I like legitimately, when the game ends and you're on the bye week, it's like instant, like, I wouldn't say depression. It's more like frustration and anger. And I end up being like frustrated and angry throughout the entire week going, there's nothing. I hate this. I hate this. And I think tying into it, I know that the team is very happy to have their bye week finally because they're tired. I'm not sure it came at the right time because, like I said, they are peaking. Now you have a break. You got to be able to pick it back up when you come out of the bye week.
Fortunately, the Tennessee Titans are standing in their way, so that could be a nice little soft landing. I will say this, just from a selfish standpoint, when the schedule came out in May and I was like, they don't have a bye till week 14, I was like, awesome. Because just week after week, like, give me games over and over.
As a content creator, it's certainly best to have a late bye week, I think.
Yes, I would agree.
Yeah.
Especially if the team is winning.
As a fan, I don't really think it matters when the bye week is as a fan. It's just no matter when it is, it's like complete buzzkill, ruins. Like I said, I'm just miserable throughout the whole week because it's like, what am I doing here? Like, I feel lost during the bye week.
Mike Rotunda says, hey, Levan, did you ever consider maybe the bye weeks hate you?
Yeah, because they miss me. I understand. The NFL needs me. I get it.
Oh, God. We've got a couple of hot takes from listeners or viewers, depending on how you want to phrase it. Let's start with Wedge Antilles, who says, hot take, week 18 against Seattle will be for the number 1 seed. Oh, that would mean...
I'm not going to lie. Like, that's been one that's been on my radar for the last 2 weeks, but I'm unwilling to go there yet. And like I said, I don't want to fake these hot takes. These are things I truly believe. I'm not going to do the thing where I make up some BS just to have a hot take.
I will say you are not afraid to have a really crappy, quote unquote, hot take to avoid making one up. So I give you credit for that, because clearly if you were going to make them up, you would give us some spicier takes than some of the things
it's really easy to have a hot take if you don't want to actually think it's true.
I agree. And
hello, ESPN First Take.
And Colin Cowherd too. He's the king of that. Wedge Antilles says it'll be for the number 1 seed against Seattle. So here's the thing. You need Seattle to beat the Rams, obviously. You're going to need the Rams to lose another game. You're going to need Chicago to fall off, which is entirely possible given their schedule the rest of the way. You're also going to need Green Bay to lose some games too. So that a lot has to go your way. And you have to win every game if you're the 49ers.
Yeah.
So
the Niners need to win we can just boil it down real quick. The Niners need to win every game. The Rams need to lose to Seattle. And the Bears and Packers both need to lose 1 game. If all of that happens, then the Niners go into that where, if they win in week 18, they would be playing for the number 1 seed because they have the tiebreak on everybody. Because it's the NFC record. They have that tiebreak. The Rams don't have the tiebreaker for the division with the Niners. So if they have the same record, the Niners will win.
If the Rams have the tiebreaker in terms of common opponents, but I don't know how that's affected by the rest of the schedule.
I believe, now I'm second guessing myself because I read this a couple of weeks ago. I believe it is division record. Well, first it's head to head, obviously.
Right.
But they split. Then it's division record.
Yes.
If the Rams lose to Seattle, they have 2 losses in division. The Niners only have the 1. That's why if the Niners win all their games and the Rams lose to Seattle, the Rams will have 2 losses in division, meaning if the Niners beat Seattle, they will only have 1 loss in division on the season. They would have the tiebreak against the Rams.
Well, that is true, because division tiebreak is the second tiebreaker. It goes head to head, then it's division tiebreak, and then it's common games.
Yeah. So the Niners, if they win their next 3 games, the Rams lose to Seahawks, and the Bears, and I think that's the main one. the main two. I mean, if you want to talk about just division, that's the scenario that needs to happen for the Niners to have a division chance. They need the Rams to lose to Seattle and the Niners win their next 3 games. Then they go into the final week where if they win, they get the division. But on top of that, you can throw in the Bears and Packers both need to lose at least 1 game. The Bears play the Packers twice, and the Bears play the Lions in the final week. So there's a chance here. Let's say Green Bay and Bears split.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go into that final week where the Bears are playing the Lions, where they're not only playing for a division chance, they're also playing for a number 1 seed chance. And it would be the same for the Seahawks and the 49ers, by the way. In this scenario, the Seahawks, if they beat the Rams, they're very likely going to be sitting there where if they beat the 49ers, they get at least the division, and they would be in play for the number 1 seed as well. So, like, there is a pretty good chance, I would say, the final week is going to be one of the all-time great final weeks in terms of what it can do to the playoffs, because you're going to go into that week where the NFC North is probably not decided. The NFC West will probably not be decided yet. And you don't even know who the heck the 1 seed is. You don't know who are going to be the wild cards. Like, literally every possible ranking is undecided.
The AFC North right now also is tied. The Steelers and Ravens are both 6-6 too, so it's all over the place. And I love that if you go to the NFL schedule in Week 18, there's no times on any of the games because I love that they wait and then they stage it out, to have like maximum drama. I don't agree with.
If I had to guess, the Niners and the Bears games will be the prime time in Week 17 or Week 18.
So Niners and Seattle obviously are potential there. The Bears play the Lions. That's potentially one. Yeah, I'm trying to look. Those are the most obvious right now. Indy, Houston, maybe.
Yeah, that could be for the NFC South potentially. Especially, I mean, the Colts or AFC South, yeah. The Colts have to play both the Seahawks and the 49ers, so.
The Colts, I mean, yeah, who knows what they're going to. I mean, Daniel Jones, he's playing with a broken fibula. Like, that is, and a huge part of his game is mobility. So, yeah, he's going to be limited for sure. And then how about this from Chris as we finish up here with the hot take? Fred Warner will play in the 49ers' first playoff game. Now, that's interesting. He's built himself a little bit of an out here because if the Niners get the number 1 seed, they would get the bye. So their first playoff game would be the divisional round, which would give Fred Warner an extra week to heal up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I did consider this one after reading the mailbag, but there was no new info. For that to be a hot take for me, it's just me guessing. I would almost put it at homerism, because it's wishful thinking. Is it possible? Absolutely. I think it's possible. Do I have any info to credibly make that a take? No. So, like I said, I'm not trying to be fake with these things.
I haven't had a chance to read the mailbag, so I'm scanning it quickly right now.
You know what I just realized we forgot? Speaking of last week's hot takes, we never came up with a bet for you to have to eat pie.
Darn. Slipped through the cracks, huh? I hate pie.
I think as the owner of Gold Standard Productions, you failed, and that means you automatically lost. It's a forfeit.
I don't agree. That is not a thing that is real. Look, we know that Fred is going to do everything he can to play. And the bigger the stakes of the game, like you and I were talking before we hit record, if they were in the Super Bowl, he's playing. Like, whatever he would play in that game. Now, if you roll it back, is it a conference championship game? I think he would, even if he could only play a limited number of snaps, I think he would want to be out there on the field. Before that, I don't know. To me, I don't think it's even remotely realistic until you get to the conference title game, just because the nature of the injury, it's a 3-month injury, and it'd be super risky for him because then don't forget, if he re-injures it, then you're re-injuring it at the worst possible time at the latest point of the season. So now you're impacting 2026. If he doesn't play at all, he'll be there week 1, 2026. No question about it. Like, he'll be there for training camp and all of that stuff. But when you're in the playoffs and you're competing for a Super Bowl, I'm sure he's like, what would be the point of sitting out? The whole reason we play this game is to get back to where we were. It'd be fascinating.
I mean, I think the risk is not that he re-injures it, because if he re-injures it in, let's say it's even the Super Bowl, so the latest possible time, that's early February. 3 months from then is early May. He's got pretty much all of May and all of June and most of July to get ramped back up and back to full speed before training camp. I think it's more so, and I don't know details of this injury, but I would imagine coming back on it, there is a chance of you re-injure it in a worse way to where now it permanently affects you, to where like you're limited in some way. You can't get back to full 100% pre-injury Fred Warner.
Injure it in a worse way. What would be a worse way if it twisted off? I mean, the thing was pointing in the wrong direction.
I don't know exactly. Like I said, I'm not going based on a medical thing I know.
Right.
I'm just saying there's got to be some risk to, like, well, if you play on this, that whole area is weakened and it could end up, maybe it makes it more likely your Achilles goes, or it makes it more likely of some other like major injury to where now 2026 is potentially to where the 49ers would probably have an interest of stepping in and saying, hold on, Fred.
Let me bring up one more hot take, and I forgot about this. You have a second that I could get into this?
Well, yeah, you think I have a life?
No, clearly you don't. Let's just say Niners get into the playoffs, right? Now, they probably won't clinch a playoff spot till week 16, 7. I would say 16 is probably the earliest, more than likely. But let's say they do. Is it at all possible that a certain wide receiver looks and says, they're going to cut me after the year? Nobody has seen me play for a whole year. Nobody's seen me run. Nobody's seen me cut. They're going to cut me. I'm going to need a new contract. I just gave up $26 million because I didn't fight them voiding my guarantees. I'm not saying out of loyalty to the 49ers. I'm not saying out of loyalty to Kyle Shanahan or John Lynch or anybody. I'm saying purely out of selfish interest. Is it at all possible that Brandon Aiyuk wants to get back on the field for the playoffs? And if he does, Levan, do the 49ers allow him to get back on the field?
Yeah. I mean, I've wondered that from the start. If Brandon Aiyuk is planning on just wanting to come back for the final game so that he can put on tape, put on the data, how fast he reached, so the teams can say, oh, look, on this route, he reached 21 miles per hour. He's got full speed. So they're more likely to sign him, because they get that info. So they'll be able to see, is he reaching his normal speeds on these routes? Is he getting to the same spot at the same time that he was pre-injury or not? So I've wondered if that's what his game plan is from the start. Once we knew a few weeks ago that he was basically saying F you to the team and not showing up. Now, if they make the playoffs, you don't know when the last game is. So I would not be surprised if we hear after the Tennessee game, Brandon Aiyuk is back and they're looking him over and may open his window after this next week, which would be the Colts game. I could see them deciding that. So then he's basically saying, all right, I'm going to come back. I'm going to spend a week or two getting amped up. Now I'll play the final week of the regular season and then be there for the playoffs.
It'd be a fascinating question. And John Lynch was asked, do you have a realistic expectation that Brandon Aiyuk could come back to the field? And here was his answer on KNBR.
Realistic, I'm not sure. Hopeful, yeah, So I think that's kind of where I'd leave that. He continues to rehab, and hopefully that's like I've always said, is we're a better football team when Brandon's out there, and I hope that's the case. But I think that's probably what it is hope right now, and I wish it were a little bit more than that.
That's what John Lynch said. Kyle Shanahan went on KNBR.
Oh, I'm definitely still hopeful. It's not counting on it. It's but I'm definitely still hoping that can happen.
That doesn't shock me. Of course, the coach is hopeful that the guy would come back. Now, Benali brought up an interesting point. Why would the 49ers play a wide receiver that hasn't played in a year and has no chemistry with the team in a playoff win-or-go-home situation? Well, a couple of reasons, Benali. First and foremost, they can open his practice window, like you said, Levan, so he could be out there on the practice field gaining chemistry with Brock and all that stuff for weeks before he actually has to play in a game. And second of all, like I said, self-interest. If he puts out good film, if there's film of him in a playoff game against playoff defenses, cooking defensive backs and getting open, even if he's not getting the ball, he probably stands to make a lot more money. I don't think it's likely because they voided his guarantees, and that's a scary thing because if he were to get hurt and miss any time, like that is a very scary situation. I'm not saying it's likely at all, but I'm saying if he did want to do it, and you're the 49ers, do you let him? Are you worried about the chemistry? Or do you say, screw that, we need as many good players as we could get?
Yeah, so Benali asked why the 49ers would. We know why Aiyuk would. Why would the 49ers risk putting him out there in terms of from a chemistry standpoint when he hasn't been around?
Because he's good.
Yeah, there's a very simple answer. He's easily the best wide receiver on the roster. That's why.
And we don't know what the state of their wide receiving core is going to be at that point either. Pearsall could be hurt again. Jennings could be hurt. What if it's Jennings and Bourne going into a playoff game? You don't think they would welcome, Brandon Aiyuk back? So, again, I don't
Did you see what Barrow said about Cowing?
No. What did he say? I didn't read the mailbag yet. I'm sorry.
So 3 weeks ago, Barrows talked to Cowing, and Cowing said he's very close to being back. And somebody asked for an update since it's been 3 weeks and his practice window isn't getting open. And Barrows basically said, Cowing is probably fully healthy right now. They don't have a roster spot for him. Because if you activate him, he said you already have Watkins that is an active coach's decision scratch on games. So you have to cut somebody. Well, they're not going to cut somebody. So they're just stashing him.
I would cut Kendrick Bourne, but that's just me. McFly says, we don't know how good he is anymore, Rob. You're thinking it's 2023 Aiyuk, but that's not the guy we'd likely see on the field right now. Even a diminished Brandon Aiyuk is better than Jawan Jennings. He's better than Kendrick Bourne.
Again, they get a practice window. They would know I would assume probably 2 weeks that they would have him practicing. I don't think it would be a case of his practice windows opened on Monday. He practices that week and plays that Sunday. It's too serious of an injury. They're going to take 2 weeks with it.
Yeah.
They're going to know what he's capable of in those 2 weeks. And if he's not looking like his normal self, he's not looking good, they can push it to a third week because you get 21 days. And if he's still not looking like himself to where you don't think he's capable, then you permanent IR him. It's not you open his practice window and you're forced to add him back to roster. You can choose to say, no, that guy's not ready. He's done for season, and you give up the ability to bring him back.
Well, and here's the other part of this too. He's not on IR right now. He's on the physically unable to perform list. So he doesn't even count against the people that you bring back. That's even better for the 49ers.
I got to look. I was going to say, is he part of the 53 now? Because if he's not, then you have to cut somebody the moment you activate him. You don't get that practice window.
I don't
think he is.
I've been asking Kyle every week, are you going to open the Brandon Aiyuk practice window?
Yeah, that's true.
Diego says Barch is going on IR. So does that open? You would want to replace Barch with another offensive lineman, I would think.
You have to. Like that was one of the other questions was who's the backup left tackle right now? Because Burford is going to be forced into full-time starter.
Right.
So is it Trent gets hurt and Burford slides over in the same game and you put in Connor Colby again? Or is it Pleasance? And he made the case it's probably Pleasance because Pleasance was playing in mop-up duty at left tackle.
Yeah, I don't know let's hope we never have to cross that freaking bridge, man. That's been another underrated thing. When is the last time Trent Williams played 13 straight games? He usually misses one in between. So he's another guy.
You shut up.
I know. He's another guy that greatly benefits from it for sure. But I just thought that would be another little interesting wrinkle. And let's be honest, with the 49ers, it's always interesting. So, I mean, that could be another part of the end of this season I don't know. I could be completely misreading this part of the situation. But don't you think, just as a pure football player, that there wouldn't be some small part of Brandon Aiyuk to be like, damn, I really wish I was out there in the playoffs. He's played in playoff games. He's played in Super Bowls. We know he was ticked off at how many targets he didn't get the Super Bowl. And maybe there's a little part of Kyle's brain too that says, you know what? What if we get BA out on the field and I feed him the ball, right? I'm talking like 9, 10 targets every game. Maybe I could fix it. And maybe I can save it. And maybe we can go into 2026 with Aiyuk and Pearsall, and we don't have to spend a first-round draft pick on a wide receiver. We could spend it on a tackle or a guard or whatever the hell they want to do with it. Couldn't that be just part of the equation too?
You know, it'd be a good thing to have to deal with and a good debate to have.
Yes.
If he doesn't come back and the Niners win the Super Bowl, does he get a Super Bowl ring?
Oh, no, I think, well, actually, I don't know if you have to give him
You
one.
don't have to.
If he had played.
So the rule, there's a rule. If you play a certain percentage of snaps, you're guaranteed one. Well, obviously he didn't play in this scenario. So I don't know.
That would be the ultimate F. Can you imagine if they won and they didn't give him one?
Yeah, I'm trying to. There was somebody recently, I think it was the NBA, where they played like 3/4 of the season with the team and got traded at the deadline, and they did not give him a championship ring.
You know, the other thing too is there's like levels of championship rings because you the real ring, and then as you sort of expand and go throughout the organization, like executives and stuff, you get like the second class, the economy class ring. They don't give you like the real hardcore, super expensive one.
Yeah, I can tell you from being an intern with an NBA team, a lot of your like just typical employees, they're not front office employees. Like the broadcast production was what I was in. So it was the people that like control the Jumbotron and stuff like that during the game, the big screen, the replays, all of that. They aren't given rings. They are given the option to buy a ring, and they are given a price. And yeah, if I remember correctly from when I was an intern, it wasn't an NBA championship game. It was an Eastern Conference championship ring. And these people making 30-something thousand a year were given the option to buy one for 10 grand. It's like,
right.
Yeah, okay. You already pay us peanuts, you jerks, and you're not willing to get us a ring.
I know at NBC, if you win an Emmy, you have to buy the statue. Yeah. And they ain't cheap either. Cause I know a couple people that have them, and I was like, oh, that's pretty sweet. He's like, yeah, it cost me a lot of money, but I wanted the actual thing. And I was like, you got to buy it. And they were like, yep. So that's a bummer. Real quick super chat before we go. Joseph Ernberg says, would Darius Slay or LaDainian Tomlinson, not LaDainian Tomlinson, jeez. Would Darius Slay and Laken Tomlinson.
Hot take, it would not be good to pick up LaDainian Tomlinson right now.
Right now, I don't think he's in football shape.
I have wondered about Laken Tomlinson just because they need the depth. Why not bring him in?
Could he be worse than Connor Colby?
Exactly. Like,
I don't know.
I've been kind of surprised that Laken Tomlinson wasn't brought in. Darius Slay, if you want to kick the tires on him and like add him to the practice squad, I guess. But like, this isn't the first team to be like Darius Slay's toast. So,
well, he's exactly the type of corner you were talking about earlier. High risk, high reward, right? Big Pele Slay.
Yeah.
But you're not going to do it because you're not really worried about the secondary, as I said.
I mean, they do, like, our argument isn't, who could play slot? Stout's not doing well. It's, hey, there's this other guy there who looked good. Why not? Yeah, he's an older veteran and Stout's a rookie, but you know what I mean? So the argument isn't in previous years of, we have nobody, we're screwed. Right. It's, who gets to play? Who's the best option?
It's a fair point. That is going to do it for this edition of the show. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We really appreciate it. This is your first time checking us out. Give us another chance. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're live every single weekday. Watch tomorrow's show. I promise you will like what you see. We're doing a film breakdown tomorrow's show. That's with Johnny Dell. We'll dive into the tape of the Browns game. We'll also have the NFC West mixtape that's going to come out a little bit later tomorrow as well. That's where we talk about the entire division as a whole. Lots to discuss on that one, thanks to the Rams loss. That's going to be a fun one. But I promise you, there is something that you will like on this channel. Maybe you don't like every show. That's fine. But please give us a chance. I promise you will not regret it. Levan, hope you have a good weekend. You'll be around for the instant reaction. Oh, wait. We don't have an instant reaction show this week, but nonetheless, we'll be here every day regardless. No bye weeks for the Gold Standard Podcast Network. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, everybody.